Date June 20th
25th.
or June 25th. I think everybody online can hear us. Actually, I see Bob Thompson just logged in from EWPP. Thanks, Bob. We just started. Who's not muted? Chris, quit unmuting yourself.
Pardon?
Quit unmuting yourself. I can hear your stuff in the background. I muted you. Ha. I can just hear the noise in your house. Bob, can you hear us fine?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. We'll get started.
So it's 6 p.m. on the 25th. There's one thing to add to the agenda, a cemetery fund 2 warrant to sign. That's the only addition to the agenda. And we'll adjust after, well, it's going to be, Bob, we'll get you here pretty quick. We just have a few things to approve, and then we'll let you chit chat. The homeowners are also here.
Okay.
So we have to review and approve the minutes of the June 11th meeting.
I move that we approve them.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All right, all those in favor of approving the June 11th minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those against? It is done. We have 4 warrants, warrant 26, 26P, Rec Fund 5, and Cemetery Fund 2 to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve warrants 26, 26P, Recreation Fund number 5, and Cemetery Fund number 2.
I'll second it.
All right, any questions or discussion on those? The Rec Fund is for $350. That comes out of their money. Chris just pays it. It was for banners and bags and balloons. They have some kind of event.
Could you mute the person on Zoom again?
What do you need?
Could you mute the person on Zoom
Yeah.
again?
I think it's
Whose TV is going on?
No, these muted. It's Chris. I can tell him. Hey, Chris.
Yes. Is that you? Can I hear in the background about the left-handed third baseman?
It is. I got the Sox game on. They're losing.
Can you mute it? Because we're hearing it here.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
All right. Please.
We want to. You don't have to mute the game. Just mute your microphone. You're gonna mute the game? Yeah. The Sox stink. So
the cemetery fund was for $3,600. I think it was for spring cleanup for all the cemeteries, as well as 3 mowings for all of them. Payroll was $12,500, which is about normal. And the warrant 26 was for $43,000. There was about $9,000 in de-icer and $5K in tires were the big ticket items. I sent an email to Lee. I sent you an email about those, so you can answer it later. All those in favor of approving warrant 26, 26P, Rec Fund 5, and Cemetery Fund 2, say aye. Aye. All those against? It is done. Chris has completed a financial management questionnaire for the treasurer. It's also in the warrants. If you looked at it, it's a yes, no, 10-question thing with basic procedures. So if everybody reviewed it, I make a motion that we approve the questionnaire from the treasurer.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the annual financial management questionnaire from the treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? All right, our visitors here, welcome. And Bob Thompson from the state is here. So, Bob, what kind of updates do you got that you want to give us?
I really don't have much at this point. Just to catch everybody up, the low bid for the project was what, $302,000. And right now we have the value of the property at, I can't remember, $260,000 or something like that. So according to the program, if the value of the property is less than construction costs, we have to withdraw assistance. Now, we all know that the lister's price, which is the price that we used on the value of the property, is low. So I'm working with an economist right now to see if we can get that price up. So at this point, I'm meeting with the economist tomorrow, and I'm hoping to have better news or good news after that meeting tomorrow.
And so
if
you're trying to get it to use the fair market value as opposed to the lister's value. Is that right?
correct.
Which would be above the minimum bid.
Yeah, that's right. 320.
Okay.
All right, so there'll be a meeting tomorrow. We'll hear back from you hopefully soon that whether we can do it or not. And what I just want to touch base with you, and we talked to Les about this, is the idea of when the payments do come around. I've asked you this online. If we could pay in thirds, whatever the number was, that was before we had a number, because it's going to be easier for us to fund 100, let's say 100, getting that money back the next week because you already have the money, as opposed to coming up with 300 at the end. And I think Les had kind of broken the project out into 3 pieces. Is that still an applicable option for us?
Yeah, in fact, when the contractors bid it, they bid 3 items. They bid the debris removal, which was 1 bid item, which I assume first thing they'll do. And then they'll bid the rock riprap, which is, I believe, probably the second thing. And then the final piece would be the plantings. So those are 3 separate items, and we can do partial payment. So as soon as the debris removal is done, you can go ahead and pay the contractor, and then you can submit your invoices and the paperwork, and we can process that as quickly as possible. So, so the premise of what you said was correct.
All right.
So where we're at is, in fact, the rest of this Foreman report deals with this, which is the line of credit, which is more stuff we'll talk about here. We don't need you for that. Do you guys have any questions you want to ask them while we have them online?
This may be silly, but can you take the lowest bid for Part A from one contractor? The lowest bid from Part B from the starting contractor? And then
I don't know. Did you hear the question, Bob? The question is, could the bids be broken up into parts 1, 2, and 3 and take the low bid for each of the 3 parts, or does it have to be one contractor?
Be honest with you, I just looked at the low overall bid. I didn't even look at the other bids to see if they would, if that would work. Basically, I tell everybody, as long as you're following your local or state procurement policy, it really doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I mean, we could obviously look into it. It'd be strange for the contractor because they may have built their bids based on what they think the overall cost is going to be and broken up. And so they may not want to go like, well, I'm going to come in to do the middle part.
Yeah, plus and minus on each stage. I'll lose a little here, but I'm going to get it back here.
Right. So it's a good question.
Yeah, well,
but
plus I'm assuming that the plantings, that when they get all said and done, probably have to be guaranteed for a certain number of years. So if something was done, I don't want to say incorrectly, but out of the norm
right.
in the beginning or in the middle stage, and the poor guy comes in at the end because he's the cheap bid on the plantings, and now he's got to guarantee those based on all the other. I think you have to stick with one contractor.
hey, I'm just reaching for solutions.
Yeah.
Because the more we,
Once we
2
find,
years and we're going past 2 years, and the more longer we go, the more land we lose.
Yeah, the more expensive everything gets. 2 years
The,
ago,
the house is kind of at
a
a standstill, can't do anything until I fix this. I will not pass this on to somebody else.
right.
I inherited this.
Right. They passed it on to you. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, hopefully we'll find. So Bob, if you find something out this week, just let me know and I'll pass it along to everybody else.
You will probably be the very next phone call after my meeting with the economist tomorrow.
Right. Well, that'll be great because then what we can do, because we can't really draft up the contract yet because we don't know how it's going to work. So we'll get that taken care of, and we'll talk about how we're going to do the funding on our end here. So I don't have any questions more for you. Anyone else?
Well, there was a possibility, you mentioned it, didn't you, last time about the plantings part of it was really high, and like, what if I just do it myself or something like that? Is that a possibility that would bring us under?
And
she's a gardener, right?
And Jake would help me.
Yeah.
With that,
We both have backgrounds.
I did ask Bob on the phone last week. I think, Bob, you and I talked about various other options.
Just get some of that cost.
Yeah. I think we're at the point, my understanding is we're at the point where we need to get them to use the full market value of the house. Or the plantings isn't gonna save enough
Yeah.
for them to follow through on the project. Plus the same thing that Maria brought up is they're gonna want the plantings to be done by somebody because Les and
Yeah,
Bob and your team are gonna be
early.
there to go, this is being done correctly, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I don't think they wanna leave part 3 to you. Nothing personal.
We were just trying to throw out
Yeah,
options to
yeah,
help
no.
to get it down to.
I understand. Yep.
We don't want to see the house down in the brook.
No,
Nor do they. That's their job, is to not see the house in the brook. So
again,
It's like I said 2 years ago when all this started, when prices were at 250 was okay. That could probably handle it 2 years ago.
yeah.
But it's gone on so long that, it seems like everything should be escalating along with, what's going on in the world. So to speak.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Well, I will keep in touch with you when I hear from Bob from his meeting.
As far as the plantings are concerned, if it's that close, I think the plantings was 20,000. Am I wrong there, or was it 40,000?
We'll have to look at the bit.
14, I thought,
I think it was,
That's the lowest.
their number was fairly low.
which I thought was ridiculous.
Well, if it comes down to it, we have talked to the river management engineer who was requiring the plantings, and he pretty much told Les that if it comes down to removing the plantings from the contract to make the project viable, he was all for that. So that would be plan C or D, I guess,
Okay.
on the list.
That
But I
was-
assure,
the
I'm
sheet
trying to
is
find a
very
way to
good.
guess as badly as you are.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll keep that in mind, and we'll see
Yeah.
what comes of the numbers.
Um,
All right.
All right. Anything else?
I don't think so. Thank you for dialing in.
Did Jake have any questions?
You got any questions, Jake?
I
Hang on.
haven't really heard it's been breaking in and out. But let me just ask a few questions. So, what I was able to hear is we're waiting for the state to come back with a new appraised value of the house. Is that correct?
We're hoping we can use the market value of the house as opposed to the lister's value of the house to get it up over the Bazin Brothers bid.
Okay, now why is it, now the appraised value of the house, that would bring it up to above the appraised, or up above the Bazin Brothers bid. So
That's right.
This is a question of breaking up, the project would be a non-issue if we can get it above that, correct?
That's right.
Okay, and so we're still kind of just waiting to hear back from the state
Yep.
on what the appraised value of the property will be on whether we go plan A or plan B.
Or C or D?
I mean, really, the plan A is to get it above the appraised value. If they can't use that, if they're not allowed to use that, then plan B is a little bit wild because you have to go with the lister's value and maybe take the planting off and figure out how to do it. It's gonna be a little bit of algebra. And so after their meeting tomorrow at the state level, we'll hear something back. Hopefully, certainly by the end of the week from Bob.
Because regardless, we're so close on this project that the difference is minimal compared to the overall scale of the project. I just hate to see it stumble now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Just like a $50,000 difference that if all else fails and we can't find any other avenue,
Right.
we could possibly find a different revenue source to make up that last little difference.
Right. Yeah, it's and Bob, speaking for you here, because again, I asked a specific question on the phone last week with you. If they can't use the market value of the house and they have to use the 250, they can't go forward. There's no, they give you 250, you come up with the other 50. It has to be within the value.
So we can't take out a mortgage for the other 50.
Because they're not gonna come up with the 300 on a house that's valued at 250. That's just hard, fast with the program. So.
Oh, so the homeowners can't pitch in?
Yeah. Apparently not.
Apparently. But hey, it was an option.
Depending on the option tomorrow, we'll ask Bob. I'll ask you the same question again.
But then you think of the worth compared to nothing being done as
Right.
opposed to a finished project.
Yeah. And again, Bob, speaking for you, having read a lot about this, the goal of the EWPP program is to keep things from the river.
Yeah.
It's not your house. They just don't want your house and your septic to go in the river.
Yeah.
That's
Which it will if it doesn't get fixed.
right. That's their priority.
Because we
so-
keep losing more and more
Right.
the more every rainstorm.
Yeah, we've only lost 2 feet this year. That's the least amount in
Well,
the
since
last
we
2
looked
years.
last, we haven't been over for a while.
Yeah, but I think, everything's fairly stable right now.
All right. All right. So Bob, I'll get your update and I'll pass it along to everybody else. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks.
Tomorrow.
So once we hear that, we will make it. We're going to hold off the line of credit and the contract until we hear a result. I don't want to engage the town lawyer for money and then have to change everything. So, but I'll let you know as soon as I know.
All right, well, that sounds, yeah, because as long as you go off the value of the house, that sounds pretty promising, and that we should be able to move forward. So, yeah, thank you.
Right. Thanks. See you soon. Have a good time, whatever you're doing. Your disembodied voice.
He's on a working vacation
That's right.
on the coast of Maine,
Oh, okay.
so he gets to have some.
So he gets to pay
We're
catch
head-
stripers.
He paints and then he goes out and fishes there, rides his boat.
We're in Maine.
Yeah,
Where in Maine, Jake?
Brunswick.
Brunswick. Yeah, nice area right in the bay. So,
He
Yeah,
needs
the
a
snipers
vacation.
just showed up.
All right. Are you Maine people?
yeah.
Go eat your lobster.
Yeah, really. Forget the paint and go fishing.
All right. So that kind of covers everything that's in the road
Okay, we'll talk to you later.
in the road foreman's report.
Yeah, give me a call a little bit.
Okay, boy.
The awarding the bid, the line of credit, and the contract will all be done when we have some answers to move forward with. So all of those will kind of slip a little bit until we hear from them.
So I do have one question
Yep.
on the line of credit.
Yep.
Whatever Chris had here for, how is the town gonna be reimbursed for the interest paid on that loan?
We're not, and I asked them about it because a little bit of administrative money for this fund.
Mhm.
And I'm like, could we use that to pay the interest? He goes, no. He goes, but there might be a way to figure out within the funding. So there's a chance. The hope is that there's a couple different options, right? We talked about this last time. If it's, let's say 100, 100, 100.
Mhm.
If we have 100 in the general fund and we know the money's gonna be back in 5 working days, we can just pay it and replenish the fund instead of using the line of credit,
I'd much rather do that.
which has been done before
Okay.
for road
Yes.
stuff. But we have to make sure that when taxes are due to the school, that we have to make sure
Right, that's
the money's there and
priority.
we're gonna get the payment. Like if we give it Monday, we're gonna get it back on Friday.
Yeah.
He said the money is sitting in their bank account. He said it should be less than a week, you'll get the money back when we file.
Mhm.
So the line of credit is more plan B. If for some reason, as this project goes along, this is really exciting stuff. We have to make a big payment to the school fund. We make this twice a year.
Mhm.
That we have to have money in the general fund to do that, which means then we might tap the line of credit for a week. And that's why I want the line of credit instead of the loan. So loan, they give you all the money and you're
Exactly.
paying right away.
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to pay interest on that. I want to pay interest for 5 days or 4 days or whatever. So that's the hope.
But even so, how is the town gonna be reimbursed for that interest?
We'll have to find out, one, how much is the interest. I don't know how much it's going to be. But the town
Is it
doesn't.
daily interest? Or is it,
It's going to be an APR. It's going to be some, 0.0000, something per day.
Yeah.
Chris, can you find out tomorrow, talk to the bank, if it were 7 days on $100,000 on line of credit, how much interest are we going to owe them on that? Okay.
So this is only a $200,000 line of credit, and the interest rate is 5.52.
Right. So somebody could do the math.
And it's due 1 year from the issue date.
Right. So basically the 200, the line of credit is good for a year. And then after a year, they're like, you should have paid all this back. So again, hopefully we'll only have, if we only tap it once, 1 5-day period where we'll have it.
Mhm.
But there is no, hopefully we can pay it out of the general fund, then there's no
So
interest.
we're talking about for like a week, and it's like 5% interest.
For a year.
Yeah,
On
so
$100,000.
it's less than $100. So
Look, see?
if we lose it,
Is that true?
It was 70 for 5 days.
Is it? Did you do the math already? Good.
Yeah, if it's 5%, $70.22 for 5 days.
All right.
well, that's not, it
Reasonable.
hits you.
If that's the stumbling
Terrible.
point,
Yeah, that is if the bank agrees with that.
Exactly.
They do. I already had Chris already checked with them, and the line of credit's like a HELOC, like your home equity line of credit. You can take money out of this standing line of credit, and then you pay it. If you want to wait till the end of the year to pay it back, you can. But you can pay it back whenever you want. There's no penalty. So basically, it's just
But they lower they change the interest rate.
We'll double check. Chris will double check it and let us know.
Because 5 sounds a little low for something like that, even if it was like 10%, so $140 per week. It's
Oh, it's 5.2. It's 5%.
pretty well.
Yeah.
If we're gonna be able to pay it back that quickly.
All right, so we'll get that from Chris tomorrow, or it's Friday, whenever, Chris, sometime next.
I did verify with the bank that if you pay it back, you still have the 200 grand in a line of credit.
Right. So if we tapped it 3 times for 100, we would never go over the 200 total.
Right.
Correct.
Yep.
If we get reimbursed as quick as the state is saying.
Right. Well, we'll know on the first one. Hopefully, the first one will come out of the general fund, and we'll find out how fast it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, dramatic pause. All right. Correspondence for information. Sheriff's report. What did we get? 4 hours last month?
Okay.
We're gonna skip it.
This stuff doesn't interest you. That's okay.
Well, it's kind of odd because we live in Newfangled, have a house in Dummerston.
All right. We'll drive safely. Thank you for coming.
Thank you much for the info.
Oh, I can put on the problem. Yep.
Have a good night.
Yep.
You too.
Okay, basically went over the sheriff's report. I have not finished June yet, but the average from January to May is only 17.55 hours. But the average from July to December was 36.375. That's the average.
So the first half of the year, they were
Hours.
high.
Was very high.
Right.
Totals, average through May of everything is 27.818. So
And we had
basically, we have not seen June yet.
Right.
So that will probably bring us an average for the entire year to almost 29 versus our normal 24.
right. So we paid for the extra.
So
They'll
we
hit
have-
the number.
Hmm?
You think they'll hit the number that they owe us for the year?
They'll be over.
They'll be over. Okay. That's his fault, not mine.
And the extra hours actually end.
Revenue.
Revenue.
Okay, our revenue from just gross in tickets was $18,021. You minus out the 80%, and it's $14,416.80.
So future recovery, we may see
We may see,
some percentage of that.
you don't see the 80% because some of it gets thrown out,
Right.
some of it, but you do see substantial amounts. So, boiling down the numbers, the total that we paid out this year was $20,480. Basically, minus the 80%, which is $14,416.80. We essentially paid $6,063.
Right.
My recommendation is that we up the hours of the sheriff's department to 30 hours a month instead of keeping it at the 24.
Too late for that, buddy.
I know, but I'm just saying that that would be my
But
recommendation.
in 4 months, we
future.
talk about it. Not even 4 months.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it. So we'll talk about it in the next budget of bringing it back up, putting it up for the following year. So right now, we're done the budget for.
Yeah, I realize that, but it would be my recommendation to up the funds.
All right. I like it.
So what's the 80% that you're talking about?
Okay, what happens is the revenue that we get from the court system, okay, from the tickets that were written, we get 80% of that.
Okay, the rest goes to the state or sheriff's
Right.
department or somebody, so.
That goes to the state processing and whatever.
Right.
But we get the 80%
80%
back.
of the revenue that they.
Right, and that doesn't include if it's contested in court. So it might be less. It might,
Oh, yeah.
I bet the number we probably get is like 40. I bet we get about 40% it back after all the contested thrown out.
Well, I think it's higher than that. Yeah.
Project.
Yeah, I will. I'll check with I'll be with Chris and going over the numbers at the end of the year.
All right.
But then it gets carried over a lot of times over a year or 2 years, you know.
I know. All right. Discussion action. Route 30 parking and safety. Is everybody familiar with the area we're talking about here?
Yes.
Here are maps. If you want to look. There's a map.
You want to come? Yeah, I'll look at it anyways.
Some people are visual learners.
I'll swing by it today.
So everybody knows what's that. This is, north is on the left side of the map. So you're heading north if you want to turn your map.
Yeah.
You're heading north to Newfane on Route 30. You can see on the right side of the highway, there's all that no parking striping. On the, it's interesting that it's only on the northbound side. So there was an email about, and this is comes up at least every year I've been here. Somebody writes about the safety, the trash. There's no bathrooms there. People are doing whatever in the river, et cetera, et cetera. They wrote to VTrans, who's the roads, as opposed to the state specifically. So when you look at this, the northern yellow line is the Newfane town line. That's the Dummerston Newfane dividing line. What's in orange is one piece of property that's split by the mouth of that stream there. So that's privately owned, both parts of those. Everything between the yellow lines to the left and right of the highway and along the river and along the inlet is all state land. So none of that is Dummerston property.
Yeah.
So there is, if you want a little bit of a zoom out, you can see who owns that property around there. Like Yale University Foresting owns part of it. There's some people on the other side of the river. You know, so last year we kind of, and the state said, you know, you should talk to the town. Maybe they want to put up an outhouse, trash cans. If they file for a license, they can do it on state land. I'm like, why are you telling me that I'm going to do something on state land? I don't really want to.
Yeah.
So
we have no jurisdiction. If they want to do it, they can do it. You know,
right.
You can't see us doing anything.
And the thing is, it's not VTrans specifically. It would be someone else at the state, because VTrans is only the road, right? So they're like, we just do the road.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, okay, what about the sheriff and the Vermont State Police? Well, the state's the one that put the no parking signs up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's basically their job. I don't need to tell the sheriff to go patrol state roads. Mm-hmm. So I don't have any inclination to move forward with it. I understand the concern, and I may ask the state a little bit about how other state property works. Like what is it, Dutton Pines?
Mm-hmm.
Like if Dutton Pines turned into some campground, since it's a state park, we're not going to go in there and clear it out. We're going to go to the state and go, hey, we've got an issue going on here at state, just like the lay-by, quite honestly. So that's the update. I'll respond to the person who wrote the letter and to the VTrans person, letting them know that we talked about it. We aren't interested in that, but we're willing to talk to the state to see if they can. I mean, I ran into Mike Maricki at the gym the other day. Both had our glasses off. I'm like, Mike? So we talked a little bit. He may be able to push the state a little bit from his end to come up with some kind of plan for. I mean, they do advertise it as recreation area. There's a sign on the actual side of the road. So somebody's advertising it as recreation area, but I think the state needs to step up.
Is it on the Dummerston side, that sign, or is it on the...
I think the sign, I don't know if the sign's on the northbound or southbound, but it is there.
Is it in town of Dummerston, though?
Well, it's interesting. It's on the Dummerston side of the line, but again, none of this land is Dummerston land. Mm-hmm. So it's weird. It's not that weird. All right, that was really all that discussion involved. So I will email them back and CC everybody so that you kind of see our position on that.
And the state owns the water, right?
And the state owns the water. Oh boy, don't think there wasn't some water law going on. So if it's a navigable river, it's a different rule than if it's not a navigable body of water. So
well, it's navigable for the inner tube.
I don't think the West River is considered navigable, but it feeds into the Connecticut.
Right.
And then you get the Army Corps of Engineers involved because they own the dam.
But that's in Brattleboro.
Right. but it's just like, so for this EWPP project, we have to go through Army Corps of Engineers and the state, because that Salmon Brook eventually flows into the Connecticut or the West River. So, and who owns the river? Basically, a non-navigable means you own down to the low point of the water, basically your land, to when it hits
That
water.
depends on the time of year.
Well,
right?
right. So, okay. We'll move on to that. We don't need to spend time on that. I didn't see anything on the dog ordinance fines in any of the.
It was an email that Lori sent it to us.
Let me pull it up. This is really exciting for those of you on Zoom, I know.
I don't remember when she sent it.
Dog. Oh, there it is. June 12th. Oh, yeah. Dog bites.
And it came from, is it Ashley?
Came from Ashley, right. So,
And it was just Ashley recommending that we revisit the fines.
right. Gil gave us Guilford as a sample.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember reading this. Did everybody get this, or just me? We all got it.
Mm-hmm.
Did everybody read it, or want
I didn't
to?
get that one, so.
Let's put it off.
Okay.
Let's move it to next agenda. I'm going to forward, now that I know the select board's working, let me forward it. Hopefully it'll take everything. Forward. And let's talk about it next time. I don't know what our actual fines are. Less than the sample she sent us. Okay, we should have that. All right. Tom and Linda. Linda, you still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Tom, what kind of updates do you got on what are the haps down there at the community center?
Not a ton. I mean, Linda would probably have a better way of explaining it than me, but the library and community center boards met like we talked about back in December to talk about like what the next plans are for the center, how they can work together maybe. Back in December, somebody on the community center board floated the idea of the back room being for the library. When we all met, nobody wanted that. Everyone thought that was in nobody's interest. They want to keep it the way it is.
Right.
There was talk about the two entities working together a bit slowly. First one on a joint fundraiser. That's the idea that they came up with, to maybe like try to work together more on raising money for both entities and on projects in general for the center. That's about it. There wasn't anything more concrete that came up.
Right.
Just a little bit, just cooperation, a bit, little more friendly tone than there had been in the past.
Right.
Um,
Linda, what do you got?
Yeah, it was a much more pleasant meeting than had been in the past. We definitely do want to work together on projects, and the one project that seemed to really excite everybody was the idea of putting a public playgrounds on the premises. But with the DCC board down to just 3 members and being run entirely by volunteers, it seems that they're really struggling with just the basics, and a playground is a really large project. Lori was kind enough to connect us with the person regarding liability insurance to talk about that. And then, a playground requires site designs, preparation, equipment, ongoing maintenance, and so on. And I don't feel like the DCC nor the library has the bandwidth to actually do a project like that, even though we do want to do fundraising together. But with the lack of momentum and the fact that the DCC is really struggling with their current board being so small, it's difficult to really think about how we're going to find our way forward. So our next step really is the lease negotiation. The library is hoping to get the entire second room instead of just the half room. So that will come up in our next round of lease negotiations. But we want to move beyond having a landlord-tenant relationship and more of a collaborative relationship. So we're trying to figure out ways to make that happen.
Skip, I know you haven't been here for all, but you can have input, obviously. So does anybody have any questions, thoughts, input on?
Oh, in case everyone doesn't know, the library did a fundraiser. Their Geranium Festival was, I think that's more successful than usual. They got like $3,800 from that. Because part of the extra funding that the library got was the understanding that they would have to increase their fundraising as well. And that's what they're trying to do.
So let me ask this question. Somebody told me, I don't know who it was, so I'm not hiding anything. My understanding is that with the new lease for the half room from the library, that the community center is drawing enough money from rent to pay their basic expenses for the year.
Yeah.
The lights, the cleaning, all that kind of stuff.
Their funding comes from what we pay for the library rent, almost completely. That's what we went over in December. I asked them, what is your budget for the year?
Right.
And then how much are we going to be paying with the increased rent?
Right.
And pretty much that was it.
Yeah, and our lease runs out for the half room in September with the grant, which is how the lease negotiation conversation came up in the first place, because we have to draw up a new lease. We're also trying to figure out a way to get the lease off of a calendar year and onto a fiscal year, so that everything matches. But that there's more to come on that end.
So my leading question goes to, if you guys want to talk about this with the community center, if the community centers, if essentially the funding we're providing for rent from the town, for the library, for half of the room and the main library that they already have, is covering the expenses of the community center for a given year. Basics, obviously no capital expenditures, no extra money. We put a bunch of money in it through ARPA. Do we have too many layers here? Does that make sense? Like, why am I giving X amount to the library, who's giving X amount to the community center, and all the community center is doing is they're paying the bills and they're doing a good job. I mean, I use the community center all the time. Is there another formula of boards, trustees, community center board that might work smoother and more efficiently than what we have?
They talked about that a little bit, and the community center board and the library board were talking about the logistics as far as like insurance and how they have like the library has elected people on their board that would have to be dissolved. The community center has their own board. They talked about the difficulties of the logistics, but that they would talk about it during the year. Basically. Both sides just wanted to take it slowly and see how they can work together. And like Linda said, like more of a getting along, collaborating more than adversarial tenant.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine it would happen quickly. Yeah. There's all kinds of things that have to be done, right? I mean, some of these things are nonprofits, some of them aren't, some are elected, some of them aren't. But from where I sit, there's more levels than maybe there needs to be, but that's just me. So keep talking about it during the year and see what happens, and we'll just move forward with what's going on.
Yeah, I just have to say I'm in agreement with that. As a relative newcomer to this, I'm with you there.
Yep, you're a newcomer. What do you got?
Right, feel right along with all the rest of you.
All right, well, we'll let you guys continue to bang out things and see what happens.
Yeah, we will. I think the summertime, though, things are going to be going a little slow. We're, dancing around people's vacation schedules and all that other stuff. So I'm hoping we don't lose momentum, but we'll keep at it.
All right. Well, in 3 months, you're going to be coming here asking for budget dollars. So
that's right.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in.
All right. Zoning administrator implementation preemptions. Did you get any looks on that? Do you want to hold off on it and look at some more? The preemptive.
I thought you were going to talk to Roger.
I did talk to Roger. I told him we were going to wait and look into it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if it's law, I don't see the reason to wait.
Because there's a process to change zoning where it goes through the planning commission with, you have to warn a 30-day hearing. There's the whole process there. then they approve it or disapprove it. Then it gets
Then
sent
you
to
have
us.
to go to the state and appeal it?
No, then it comes to us. And then we have to have our own public hearing, and then it doesn't become zoning until we, as a select board, approve it. So I'm just wondering why we're bypassing.
Why would preemptively, why not just, as we talked about last time, normally the state would say do this by 1 December.
Mm-hmm.
I think what the state is saying is, well, we're not going to give you a deadline, just say yes to what we're asking you and get it done.
Yeah, that's what
Right.
I'm saying. I mean,
But there is a process. That's why everybody's got planning commissions.
And the process is also state statute. So I'm just curious why we're bypassing one statute to implement something else.
Right. I didn't get the impression that it was an emergency situation.
No,
Roger.
no.
So,
I mean, we're talking about changing the size of parking spaces.
right.
yeah, I know. I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of ludicrous. I mean, you know.
Yes,
But there-
I'm not
I mean,
sure why we have to.
The parking space
Can
thing
we
is-
get penalized if we are in violation before it goes through the town?
I don't think anything will be penalized until the state adopts it and the town adopts it. I mean, the goal of it appears to be able to create more parking. That's why I think parking spaces used to be able to be up to 24 feet in length, and now they're like only 19 feet in length. I'm like, why are we doing this smaller? He's like, they want more parking. But when you think about it, just based on things that went on in the West Village with parking, parking on the side of the street, if you drive through the West Village, you can't actually park on the side of the road. It's 25 feet from the center line. And so some people have pull-in first parking spaces that may be at 21 feet, or whatever ours is, that now suddenly are 19 feet and what they can't park there. And I know we go back and go, okay, you're allowed to do it because that was the rule. We gave you zoning and it carries on. But there are things, it is a little weird, and I'm not even a planning commission person, that they're asking for it. So who's the head of the planning commission?
Daniel Gearing, he's the chair. There's only 4 of us. We rarely have a quorum.
Right.
Because there's only 4 of us. One person misses and we have no quorum.
Right. So I guess it's really up to, that was really the discussion portion. I'm not the be all end all here, nor is Maria, obviously. So
Yeah.
if you want to sign it, you can make a motion to sign it, see if you get a second.
All right.
And then
I just
everybody-
was questioning why we don't, it's law, like, why delay?
It's it seems like it's a little out of character. I think that's the concern.
Yeah.
I assume Roger's talked to the planning commission chair.
He probably talked to the chair.
Right. And does the chair have any input?
What's that?
I wonder if the chair had any input.
I don't know.
All right. Probably me sliding there. I let Roger know we did sign it and why. I did not follow up then, so I'll let Roger know again. Let's move it to the next meeting. I don't think it's an emergency situation, and we'll just make sure that we're comfortable. But next meeting we'll definitely look to move on somehow. Reappraisal order, which is in things to be signed. So we talked a little bit about it last week. There's no leeway once you're outside the 20% for the number. The state tells you have to do it, and you have to have a certain period. I talked to the listers about it. You're not gonna be able to find anybody for 3 years for a company, because companies basically set up. They don't want to come just to Dummerston. These corporations that set up the reappraisals, because it's a big deal, and they may do a full one where they go to everybody's house. They may do a sample one where they do 20% of the houses and then apply that to everything else. But they don't want to come in and do Dummerston. They want to come in and do Dummerston, Guilford, Vernon. They want to do like a set of towns. So the chances that somebody's going to come in anytime soon is pretty low. And what kind of appraisal they're going to do, it depends, right? As long as it meets requirements. So normally what happens is the state gives us, they assume that you're going to have to do a reappraisal. I think it's every 8 years. and they give you an eighth of the money every year to sort of cover the appraisal cost, so the town doesn't have to pay for it. So we're not at the 8-year mark, we're like at the 6-year mark. So we'd be in theory a little short, but it's not gonna happen anyway for another couple of years. So there's no really way around the reappraisal order. I mean, they've told us we have to do one.
Mhm.
The listers will run through all the processes they have to go through, and they'll get one, and we'll all meet the regulations. That's pretty much the story. There is no, we're 20.4. Is it close enough? They're like, the line is 20, and that's it. So I make a motion to go ahead and sign the state of Vermont reappraisal order.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion on that? All right, all those in favor of signing the state reappraisal order, say aye.
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 All those against? Oh, I was aye. All those against? And so it carries. Let me sign this before I forget. Today's the 25th. It's the worst signature ever. It's getting worse. What's next on the agenda? I'm covered up here.
Authorization of the chair to sign any needed warrants
Right.
at the end of the fiscal year.
Right. So if you're new, skip. Basically, as the year ends here, Chris got to pay bills at the end of the month. Since we're not going to meet, he'll call me, I will come in and sign them to pay him, and then at our next meeting, we'll all sign them. So it's just stopgap. He just calls me and goes the road.
Yeah, makes sense.
I make a motion that we authorize the chair to sign any needed warrants at the end of the year, fiscal year.
Second.
So Todd, you're the contact?
Yep.
All right, we got 2 on deck.
All right. I'm on deck at my house. Email or call.
There's nothing signed for that one, so that's okay. So Chris, you're aware of that. Okay. The sheriff's contract.
Do you want to take a vote?
Oh yeah. All those in favor of letting me sign for paying the warrants at the end of the year, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? It sounds weird that I'm asking that. I'm the one. Sheriff's contract. Did you look at this, Paul?
Yeah.
I looked through it. They got the hours allocated. It seems the same as last year. Is there anything we need to know about it?
No. It's pretty much the same boilerplate contract that we've
All right.
signed in the past.
And the hours are correct. You just double check that what we're asking for on a monthly basis. I don't know if it's on the first page.
24.17 was that last year.
And is the rate the same? The rate that we paid them?
I think it's $75.
Yeah, it's 75.
But I mean, is that the same from last year?
No, I think it actually increased.
Yeah, I think we increased it in the budget.
We did.
too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, they told us what it was going to be.
Yeah, it was 64
Yeah.
and now it's 75.
good group, okay.
That's the ARPA one.
Well, if he looks it up, I'm going to make a motion that Paul signs the 25-26 sheriff's contract.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
I just got a question on it's really not about this contract, but the last report we got, there was a guy that was, an officer who was patrolling on Route 30 from the Dummerston town line to the Townsend town line. That's not Newfane. I mean, that's not Dummerston, that's Newfane. Why do we have 2 hours charged to that?
I think that's the whole ride he's taking. I think he only charged us from our town line.
Yeah, he charges us from our town line.
Right,
Just to
to
go back-
to the Townsend
To
town
go
line.
back to the next place he's going to or something like that?
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
I think
Is he still
that's a good
paroled?
question. I think they tag it.
Oh, he was actually doing radar in front of WW Building Supply.
Oh, yeah.
So why are we paying for that?
That's a good question.
That's
Mr. Paul. This is right here.
Going to Newfane. Tell him to give me some money.
A lot.
I will check on that one.
It
I
just
will-
struck
I have
me
a call
as
into the sheriff already.
being- Okay.
Yeah, I think you have a standing call into the
Yeah,
sheriff.
I do.
He just has a sign on his wall that says "Call Paul."
Yeah. On speed dial.
All right. All those in favor of signing the 25-26 sheriff's contract, say aye.
Right.
Aye.
All those against. So Paul, that's your signature on the contract. When you're ready, put it back in this folder. State of Vermont taxes. I don't want to do the covered bridge thing.
Paul, do you want this?
All right.
I have it.
Special meeting day. Guess what we're doing Monday night, folks? We're going to be here for 15 minutes. They're going to set the town tax rate, which we have to sign before the end of the year. Lori will have it done. You can all dial in. It'll be short.
First Monday, at what time, 6?
6.
Monday at 6.
On the agenda is going to be to set the town tax rate, and there's 2 documents to sign, which we have, but we didn't advertise. The liquor license for Mount Maple Valley, and their outdoor serving of liquor license. So we've got those. So those will just be a quick vote and signature. So I don't think we'll be here more than 15 minutes. And again, if you're busy, you can dial in. If you can't make it, as long as we have 3 of us, we're good to go. So I'm not saying don't come. I'm just
The hours is 0.17 hours difference per month.
it's not bad.
It was 24, now it's 24.17.
Do math. Is it a leap year? All right, I think that's everything on the agenda. So upcoming meeting, the regular one will be July 9th. That'll be here. We'll talk about your homework assignment that you can or can't read about that property over in West Village. I'll just drive over there and look at it. I'm gonna be there Monday night anyway. I might talk to Paul. And then Monday night, we'll have an agenda item. So Monday night we'll be here at 6 also. Is there anything I've missed?
Is there any of you aware there was a fire at the brewery down here on Route 5 the other day?
Oh, was there one? The old brewery?
The old brewery, somebody broke in and set a fire, set the place on fire. It happens to be right nearby my house, so. They apparently got inside, set something up and some wood and stuff, and most of the building is metal and won't burn anyway, but they did a lot of damage inside, smoke damage and whatnot. Bottom line was the fire department never got called, the property manager did, he never called the fire department, I don't know whatever transpired, I don't know. I think whoever was in there was throwing full kegs of beer onto the fire,
Oh my goodness.
thinking they would explode, and I think one of them popped and it put the fire out.
Fire out.
Oh, there's still cakes of beer in there.
Yeah,
Just they left them?
well, I just walked away, I guess, so.
Well, it's actually now another brewery has taken over.
Right, but they don't get it, and they can't do anything, they were hoping to close the end of July
Oh,
on the property. And now it's gonna be set back because it's under foreclosure and the bank is, gotta be in charge of all the repairs and all that kind of thing. But what came up was I happened to see the owners of the new brewery that are gonna be in there, and she had called the Dummerston Fire Department twice about this fire and never got a response. So I don't know if that's, I don't know what their protocol is for, does it actually, do the phone calls go to the chief or does somebody stop at the station and check it once in a while or?
They called and nobody came?
They called, well, they didn't call during the fire, it was after the fire.
Okay.
Nobody called the fire department, either Brattleboro or Dummerston.
You're talking about the property just right over the Dummerston
Used to
line.
be the Pepsi pill.
Right across from the gym.
Yeah, so,
That's a
Well,
shame.
that's strange. I mean, because normally you would call the fire department, you just call 911.
well, exactly.
And they would
That
then
whole
call
thing was,
Dummerston or.
Yeah.
that's
but this is
Prior.
after the fact.
just an after the fact. Yeah, this was actually yesterday that I was talking with her.
To investigate what happened, you mean?
Yeah, they wanted to know if they'd been called, or, if they had received a call to go there during the fire. But apparently someone drove by, saw smoke coming out of the building, called the property manager, who they knew who that was, and he never called the fire department, which strikes me as really odd.
Huh.
And that's the story I got. I don't know how true it is, but from what I understand, neither Brattleboro or Dummerston was toned out to go to a fire.
Right.
So,
And the property owner might need a fire report of some type
oh,
for
exactly.
insurance reasons.
Right, and they did.
But there was no fire call. But
No fire call, but there was, somebody called the state police,
Mhm.
and they sent an officer down after the fact. And he said, oh, maybe they'll get an arson investigator to take a look, but I don't know beyond that
Yeah.
if they have or not. But, my concern was just, what's the fire department's protocol for receiving calls that are non-emergency?
Yeah.
I mean, how often do they check their calls, that kind of thing? Because the brewery people were concerned because they had called twice and they hadn't got a response.
Interesting.
So,
I don't know if you guys looked at the diesel fuel bills. So on the 10th of January, diesel fuel was $2.78 when they delivered it. A week later, it was $3.04. It's wildly not standardized. I'll make a motion. We adjourn.
I have under new business.
Oh, new business.
I had a representative from the State Forestry Department stop at my house and say, "Do you realize you've got bugs in the trees? Some kind of it's an invasive bug that's eating."
Do you have ash?
Ash
Emerald
trees.
ash borer.
All right.
Yeah, emerald ash borer.
So he has to write a letter to the town.
The town is well aware of it. The Conservation Commission did a study on all the emeralds, all the ash trees in town, probably 4 years ago. Because you can treat the trees if you want. It's expensive. They come in and have to treat it. Like if you have a really nice ash on your property you want to keep, they can come treat it. They have to treat it like 2 or 3 times to save it. Otherwise, as far as I know, there's no broad.
Well, I have a little over a dozen of them.
Right. You might if you
he
have
said
some more.
that, one of them is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the rest of them are infected.
Yep. This whole area is just. So I'm guessing he's going to send us to town. We're well aware that it's in town.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Maybe he'll send us something that says we have Japanese knotweed in town too. So, multi-floor rose,
that stuff is awful.
buckthorn. So, all right.
Was he requiring you to do anything?
Well, he said that one tree that I should get in touch with the utility company and see if they will cut it down because it's going to fall on the power lines.
Oh.
And it is dead.
GMP's pretty good. If it's going to endanger lines, they will come take it down. They're very efficient.
And he said the other one is halfway gone, but they're both right next to the power line.
Yeah.
Next to the stone wall there.
Everybody make sure you sign the warrants. Make sure you sign the minutes, Paul. Make sure you sign the sheriff's contract. I think that's all the signatures we need. All right, now I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right, we'll see those of you that can make it on Monday.